Hey guys, it's Dr. Justin Marcagiani here. Happy Friday. I'm ready to dig in and we're going to do a great video on SIBO. We're going to kind of go over the physiology and the biochemistry and how SIBO or small intestinal bacterial overgrowth can happen. Again, this is kind of one of my newer videos where we choose a topic and we have a live Q&A as well. So make sure you subscribe, hit the reminder bell so you can get notifications so you can actually be part of this live content and make it even better. All right, so let's dig in. So with SIBO, one of the big things with SIBO is we're seeing bacteria, not so nice bacteria, migrating back from the colon upstream into the small intestine. Not so good. This does a couple of things. Number one, it can shift the pH in the intestinal tract, right? When the pH is shifted in the intestinal tract, makes it harder to absorb and break down nutrients. Number two, you're going to have certain toxins that can come off of small intestinal bacteria overgrowth. You'll have lithocolic acid, potentially an increase in lipopolysaccharides or endotoxin for short. You're also going to have issues with potentially stress in the intestine, could potentially affect lower stomach acid levels. It could also affect lower enzyme levels. When these things are lower, you're going to have a harder time breaking down and absorbing your nutrients. So, of course, common SIBO side effects are going to be fatigue potentially, because if we're not breaking down our nutrients, we can have fatigue. It could be cognitive issues, right? We have inflammation in the gut from small intestinal bacterial overgrowth that can easily cause compromise of the tight junctions, food slipping into undigested particles and or bacterial overgrowth, slipping into the bloodstream and can create immune stress and can create potential malabsorption. So all of these things are going to be big stressors on the body. When you stress out the immune system, it sucks up a lot of energy and resources. So it's common to have things like allergies because now your immune system's hyper reactive. It's common to have obviously bloating and gas and digestive issues and potentially even acid reflux. People that have small intestinal bacterial overgrowth may also have H. pylori too. H. pylori isn't like a SIBO kind of bacteria, so to speak. A lot of times with SIBO, we're going to see things like Pseudomonas. We're going to see Klebsiella, Citrobacter, Prevotella, Morganella. Those are the big ones off the top of my head that I can think of. Maybe staph, maybe even strep as well. Yeah, those are common. And those are going to shift, they're going to shift the bacteria. They're going to decrease the amount of beneficial bacteria. Why is that important? Beneficial bacteria is actually going to produce nutrients. Beneficial bacteria takes poop and makes nutrition out of it. So B vitamins, vitamin K, it produces certain acids that are very helpful for creating a hospitable environment, right? And also, when you have a lot of dysbiotic bacteria, it's going to take a lot of your nutrients and it's actually going to create more toxins, like I mentioned, with the lipopolysaccharides and with the lithocolic acid. So we just got to keep that in the back of your mind. More stress in your intestines when we have more dysbiotic bacteria. And it can create allergies, mood issues, cognitive issues, even hormone issues. This is a one thing people don't talk about. How can SIBO affect your hormones? Well, it can affect your hormones by poor digestion. It can also affect your hormones by this enzyme called beta-glucuronidase. Beta-glucuronidase is it's an enzyme made by this not so nice bacteria. It can affect the uncleaving of conjugated estrogens. So we're detoxifying estrogens, we're escorting them out the body, we bind it to this protein to help escort it out. Beta-glucuronidase opens it up, it breaks, it takes the handcuffs of the straitjacket off those toxins and allows it to go back into circulation. And that can affect your hormones. As a female, that could throw you into estrogen dominance. As a male, that could create more estrogen and create man boobs or gynecomastia or mood issues, right? So it can also lower LH levels. LH is a stimulator for testosterone. So it can affect both sexes in different ways, which is quite interesting. So most people don't have that idea of like, how can a gut issue affect my hormones? Well, it can. And most of these doctors that are out there, especially the medical ones on the natural side, they're just giving hormones and they're very rarely looking at how the gut can interplay with the hormones. And it's so important. And so looking at that, we kind of reviewed kind of what happens in SIBO. We talked about the things that it can cause. We talked about the nutrition that it can cause. We talked about other infections related to SIBO. Also, the great SIBO mimickers, right? Because SIBO has a lot of similar symptoms as, let's say, parasite infections, let's say as SIFO or fungal overgrowth. So how do you tell? You really have to work with a good functional medicine doctor that can look deeper at what's going on. And again, if the longer someone's been sick, it may not be a quick fix. It's a lot of other things that break down in the physiology with hormones, with neurotransmitters, with detoxification, and you really have to kind of put everything back together. You can't just like spot treat here and there. The longer things have been going in the wrong direction. If it's just a little side detour in your health, it's easier. But if you need to reach out or dig in deeper, feel free and click below to reach out to me or my staff, and we can help you out. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to open this up to some live questions, and if we can keep it to the topic of SIBO or tangentially connect it, that'll just be better for continuity in the conversation. All right, so let's dig in with some questions now. All right, let's go to the top. Jack JMC, when fighting SIBO, should one increase high FODMAP foods when taking clearing herbs to bait them out? Yes, Jack JMC, great question. Dr. Pimentel, Cedars-Sinai, and UCLA found out that when you add things like guar, which is a high FODMAP food, it acts like cheese on the mousetrap and baits out the SIBO and can allow the herbs to be more effective. Great point. This is why I love these live Q&As, right? I get people I'm tag teaming with them where they're giving me great insights to go deeper. All this herbal stuff is too expensive. I just took a 10-day course of rifaximin and all symptoms are gone. Yeah, it's possible. I mean, again, rifaximin, I've had patients where they got a $1,000 to $2,000 bill for the rifaximin. So, I mean, it just depends. I mean, herbs cost a couple $100. I've seen patients pay a couple $1,000 for rifaximin, and you're lucky because a lot of times that's not the case. Akimo writes in, does Para-1 and silver also kill the gut infections? Para-1 and silver can help. We typically would go after, we would typically use 1, 4, and 5, GI Clear 1, 4, and 5, potentially in combo. Para-1 is going to be pure mimosa pudica, which will attack parasites. Silver has lots of benefits at knocking out E. coli and other potential viruses. It also helps knock down biofilms. GI Clear 1 in my line has a lot of dill. It has stomona. It has wormwood in it. It has some berberines. It has procrasma. It has Kutch tree. It has Java brucea. It's off the top of my head, so I may miss something. GI Clear 4, very high in burdock root, which is great for the lymphatic system. It's also high in grapefruit seed extract, olive leaf. It's got black walnut hulls, which are great for parasites. It's also very high in golden seal, right? You heal and seal with golden seal. And then 5 is an emulsified pure oil of oregano, which is very powerful for candida, but it's also shown in the peer-reviewed literature to help with parasites too. Didi writes in, let's connect this to SIBO. What would be the normal estriol level for a 30-year-old? Range is 5 to 18. Typically mid-range, but if you're 30 and you're cycling, I'm going to be looking at estradiol more importantly. But I would also want to know DHEA with that, because DHEA, low DHEA can easily cause lower estriol with cycling women. Got it. Best Friends writes in, I'm from India. How can I come in contact with you guys? Head over to justinhealth.com, click on the schedule button, and at least get a intro consult in to see if we can help. That's the next step. No charge for those as well. But again, if you're ready to move forward, that's the next step. Or just schedule a consult with me or my other clinicians that help out. Okay. Really depressed with SIBO. I totally hear you. We can help. We can mutually share our thoughts in treating SIBO. Excellent. All right, any other questions, guys? Let me know. I think we hit almost everything. Let me keep on looking here. Stefan Lindman writes in, are biofilms needed when taking herbal antibiotics? In my opinion, Stefan, it's going to help. It's going to make things better. What we typically do as a baseline in our protocols, we add in what's called ginger tea. And that's part of like the die-off reaction handout, because ginger is a really good natural biofilm buster. So we love ginger tea. And there's a recipe in our die-off reaction handout for patients to follow. So we want to juice it ideally because it's more potent. Ginger is also an antiviral. It's an anticoagulant. It keeps the sludge moving. It's also anti-inflammatory. So if you have a lot of gut inflammation, that's going to definitely help that for sure. You are welcome. Excellent. All right. Any other questions here? I got an interview coming up here where I'm being interviewed for a Hashimoto summit. I'm really excited to be interviewed for that. Anything else, guys? Let me know. I am here to answer. Got my little butter coffee here. Okay. All right, guys, I'm going to sign off here. You guys have a phenomenal Friday. Feel free. hit that subscribe button, hit the notification button. We're going to be doing more of these chats in the future. Look forward to helping you all out. Oh, one last question. Cassie writes in, I'm on an AFP diet, but I still have symptoms. Pretty sure it could be H. pylori, but can I cure it if my partner won't? He's not a believer. Well, okay, probably not. If your partner has an issue, that's going to be a concern. I mean, that's like here's the analogy I give patients who have spouses. That's like saying I'm not a believer in syphilis or gonorrhea, right? STDs exist. We know that. Well, we know that gut infections, they're not quite the same as STDs, right? But they can still be spread. H. pylori can be spread in non-sexual ways, right? If I have H. pylori and I sip my coffee, my wife comes over and sips it, or a friend comes over and sips it, maybe that spreads something, especially if my immune system's more compromised. You got to get him on the path. Get him on the path, make sure he's educated, and schedule a consult with him and the doctor that you're seeing, so they can be educated, get him tested. And, when I tell my female patients, if you're, partner, it's like, hey, no intimacy until we get this treated. It's that simple. Just do it for 30 days. Get them on that track, no intimacy, 30 days. And it typically works. I'll tell you that much. Any tips on lowering beta-glucuronidase? Awesome question, Carlos. Just get the SIBO down. Just getting the SIBO down will help. Of course, you can do some binders as well to help kind of lower some of these things. I don't think the binders will help necessarily with the enzymes per se. With the beta-glucuronidase, but it'll definitely help kind of pull that SIBO debris out. And then, of course, you can always do some higher cruciferous things or DIM to help lower any of the estrogen that may be coming in through increasing estrogen and hormone-like metabolism. That can definitely help as well. Okay, excellent. All right, guys, I'm going to jump on here to a summit interview. You guys have a phenomenal day, and we'll talk soon. Take care.